Next.js is known for a bunch of rendering strategies. I even wrote my bachelor thesis about all these strategies. So things like client-side rendering, server-side rendering, static site generation, incremental static regeneration, and partial pre-rendering. But you know what? Next.js just removed some of them and some are even gone. And all of that just because of this one single flag. So I'll show you exactly what changed and what you need to do now to make Next.js great again. Because the mental model has shifted and I tell you what, it got easier. But before we jump into the video, let me introduce you to the sponsor of today's video, TestSprite. Writing code is the fun part, but writing tests for that code? No thank you. But you don't have to when you use TestSprite, probably the best AI testing tool out there. It is writing, executing, and maintaining all of your tests. And with their last week's 2.1 update, they introduced GitHub integration. So you can automatically generate, run, and preview your tests right from within your GitHub pull requests. They also released more stuff like new ways to modify or update your tests. And of course, all of that can run natively as an MCP server. And with that, also in your favorite IDE of choice, so Cursor, Windsurf, or just VS Code. So you have to stop acting like tests are not worth your time or not worth for your project. You know that's a lie. Visit tobymae.dev/testsprite to get started for free. They have a generous free tier and scaling is very easy. Huge thanks to TestSprite for sponsoring this video. What is the magic flag I'm talking about? Which flag changes everything in Next.js? It is the cache components flag. If you set cache components to true, things will behave differently. And hear me out. Things will start feeling off, feeling different. You don't understand things. You maybe get a lot of errors initially. Fix those errors and get your mind into it because the model is so simple. But I said all these rendering strategies are gone. So let's go through these rendering strategies. Which ones are gone and which ones just got replaced with something better. So the first rendering strategy is PPR, partial pre-rendering. You used to do something like this where you set PPR to true, and then you've gone into your page and put it something like this, experimental PPR true, and all not clear. It felt good, but you didn't know, was a route now PPR or not? Was it partial pre-rendered or not? And now with cache components, this is gone, but not in a way that the functionality is gone, just the flag. You don't have to touch this at all, so it's not confusing anymore. It's just the default behavior if you activate the cache components flag. And this gives you a lot of benefits because partial pre-rendering basically means combining dynamic data and static data into one route. And this has so many advantages, but I'm not here to tell you that, but Delva Olivera made a great video about that. The next rendering strategy is ISR, Incremental Static Regeneration. Sounds pretty complex, but it is, or should I better say was, a very, very cool feature because it basically allowed you to write something like this. Export const revalidate 3600, for example here, which is 1 hour. This is the seconds. You probably have seen this and it really works very, very good. I currently see the sun comes out and this maybe looks annoying. So give me a second. Okay, there we are. Things are darker now. So in the background, what happened is user A is visiting your page. It sees it instantly and then user B visits your page after 1 hour and then in the background, Next.js is smartly regenerating the content. This is the incremental static regeneration so that user C gets new content without having to wait for it. And I already said, this is not the reality anymore. This is just gone. You don't have to export these magic variables on top of your files anymore because let's be honest, this was not the right path here. But now this is way, way cooler. And this is using the use cache directive, a directive that you get when you opt into cache components where you can set the cache life. And the cache life is a topic I will make a whole video about that because there is so much functionality inside and this is such a cool feature. But what it basically allows you to say is how long should the resource be cached. In this case, it is set to hours. Again, this is a bit complex, but you can just write hours in there. And this is just basically replacing incremental static regeneration completely. It's just built into this new caching system with cache components. Let's move to the next rendering strategy, a big one, SSG, static site generation. The best rendering strategy in my bachelor thesis, by the way, because it's just the fastest in any instance. But it has one big problem. The content is not up to date, but that doesn't matter. The strategy is awesome. Your content is just cached all the time. So it's extremely fast. So what we used to do was exactly that. Setting, again, a magic constant, dynamic equals to force static. So we forced the page to be static. So that was kind of weird because in Next.js 15 and I think 14 also, Next.js behaved static by default. So sometimes you fetched data, but this was actually cached at build time, and things are pretty complex. Now this is simpler. You're not saying for static, you just say use cache, cache life max. Max is the biggest profile we get in here. You can actually build your own profiles. I will show that in the dedicated video, but this is just replacing this rendering strategy. So you see, you really have to not think in rendering strategies. You really have to think about, is my data cached or not? And that's the mental model you now have. You don't have to think, do I need ISR? Do I need partial pre-rendering? Or do I have to do static site generation? Like, no, that doesn't matter anymore. So to just make this migrating to cache components guide complete, there was also this force dynamic, which is now just nothing, because if you activate cache components, everything is dynamic by default. So this is really the mindset you now have to have. Just ask yourself 2 questions. Do I need to be on the client? Because if you want to be on the client, fine. Then put use client on top. You don't have to think about anything else. But if you don't need to be on the client, so you can be on the server, ask yourself this question: can I cache things? Does everything need to be dynamic? So when a user clicks the link, the data actually fetches? Can it be cached? And if the answer is no, fine, you just do nothing. But if you say yes, then you opt into use cache with all the cool new things: cache live, cache tag, update tag, revalidate. Okay, revalidate tag is a little bit older, but you get the point. And videos are following on these topics. So definitely click this white or black or sometimes also red button to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss these future videos. So at the end of the day, it really is just SSR and CSR which are staying. But don't think about which rendering strategy should I use. This is old. You shouldn't think in that way. You really just need to think in that way. And I'll tell you what, once you get this into your mind, writing clean Next.js 16.2 code with cache components enabled allows you to build web applications that are so fast. Like, everything is instant, and that is so cool. I'm definitely going to share more about this. And that's already it. So some rendering strategies are just gone. The mental model just changed, and I really like it. Let me know what you think about that all. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye bye.